What is the greatest completely legal loophole you know about? You can't do this anymore either. But when the US was trying to introduce the dollar coin, they were offering each coin for exactly $1, no tax, free shipping. In an effort to get them into circulation, people were maxing out credit cards purchasing these coins for the frequent flyer miles, then turning around and depositing these coins back into their account, costing them nothing. I heard that some people got away with doing this many times, racking up millions of frequent flyer miles before they had to end the $1 with free shipping program. My dad did that. We have so many $1 coins we leave them as tips sometimes in hotels and such because it's harder to spend them. But free miles. One that is no longer in use, but I heard about it a long time ago, and thought it was genius. During the 1970s, a Bulgarian human rights dissident was expelled from his home country to West Germany. He figured out his own private way to get back at Soviet communism. Once a month, he chose a dissident imprisoned in the Soviet Union and wrote him a personal letter, but before mailing it, he would take it to the post office and have it insured against it being opened or tampered with. The Soviet government, naturally, would intercept the letter, open it and photocopy the contents. But because the letter was insured, they would have to pay the insurance award. If they didn't, they would be kicked out of the International Postal Union. The IPU let the Bulgarian dissident do this to a maximum of one time a month, so as to not abuse the insurance system. So for years, this man would write a letter of support to an imprisoned human rights activist in the USSR. And 1 month later, he would receive a check from the USSR for a total of $400. Edit, thank you and a shout out to you/PA2SK for tracking down the original story. My recall isn't perfect and I got a few of the details wrong. How could he tell it was opened and who forced them to pay? Use a wax seal or something like those void if removed stickers on electronics, coupled with delivery instructions to verify it's intact before signing. Knowing who forced them to pay would have been public record legal stuff. The IPU is in charge of who has to do what with international mail even now. If you were interested, I'd recommend Googling some of the policies because they're really pretty fascinating. Here in Costa Rica it's quite hard for foreigners to get a work visa or residency. However, it's very easy to enter the country as a tourist. The only requirement for tourists is that they can't be here for more than 3 months. So, instead of going through the whole process of getting a work visa, at least 80% of the people I know here with foreign blood simply drive up to the Nicaraguan border and come back every 3 months, allowing them to become what is known as a perpetual tourist. I know some people that have been exploiting that loophole, completely legally, for about a decade. Most countries, and I would be very surprised if Costa Rica was not one of them, attempt to close this loophole by limiting the number of tourist visas you can get in a certain period. Like for Turkey, if I remember correctly, it's no more than 90 days in 180 days, meaning if you got a 3-month visa, then left, you would have to wait another 3 months to get a new tourist visa. Also, most places charge a good amount for tourist visas depending on where you're from, so it's not perfectly foolproof even if you circumvent that rule. Most countries are not Costa Rica, which I believe still has the highest hash of US expats in the world. The practice is completely accepted and happens daily on a very large scale. I've been told you can get any doctor/dental work you need done while on your Nicaraguan day trip too, as it's really cheap there. Suing telemarketers. A lot of people don't know that telemarketers break a lot of laws because pretty much no one calls them out on it or threatens to sue. Here is a write-up someone did on it with sources. I am being harassed by a company and this article was gold. So gold for you. I love these kind of stories. My favorite part is seeing the CEO of this scammy company getting more and more scared and desperate with his threats and offers. This happened with IKEA. They sold me a defective nightstand and numerous non-court attempts to get them to replace it were futile. so I sued them. Literally the day before the trial, a new nightstand arrived FedEx overnight from Sweden, which must have cost them a fortune. And the store manager of my local IKEA called me at 11 p.m. to figure out what else they needed to do to get me to drop the case, which was to pay my court costs. Sometime around 12 a.m. they processed a refund for that to my credit card, which was fine since I had paid the court costs with my card, and that was that. The only annoying part was still having to sit in court the following morning for 2 hours waiting for the case to be called so that I could have it dismissed, since my court doesn't accept dismissals at the clerk's desk on the day of trial. I used to work for a credit processor, which is the company that handles the network your credit transactions move across. Swipe your card at a merchant, it goes to the credit processor, who determines which financial institution the card belongs to and authorizes, declines the charge through them, then reports back to the merchant. Anyway, one of our clients was a major bank. One you'd know. We were investigating a recurring network issue that we couldn't really pin down. Every month, this fizz network would strain and overload, around the same time, once a month. We didn't have any errors logged that weren't a result of the strain. No identifiable cause, no processes running at that time. They weren't doing maintenance, which was just a formality since the issue was on our network. So I'm idly watching transactions roll across the big screen when it starts flooding with the same line. We got hit with something around 35,000 transactions all at once from the same source. Did some cross-referencing and sure enough we could see the same thing had happened every time the problem occurred, and always the same account. So we called the FIN and explained it to them. They looked into it, and here's what they shared with us. They'd had a promotion going on for their bank card to award 100 bonus points every time someone used their bank card to pay their bills online. No minimum to that, no qualifier that the bill had to be paid in its entirety. So this guy wrote a script to pay $350 by 1-cent transactions, and racked up bonus points on his bank card. So if you had that incentive and wonder why it went away, you can thank that guy and me for nursing him out, I guess. My friends did this with the Chase Freedom card. Opened multiple cards, ran the script for single-cent transactions, and made out like a bandit before they caught on and closed his credit cards. Yay, we were all like, damn, well done. I got married to my college girlfriend so that she could claim in-state residency and finish her degree at my university for like half the cost they would have charged her as an out-of-state student. I also looked like a very poor head of household on paper and received a shit ton of grant money towards my own degree. 10/10 would wed again. Fearens v. John Deere. A plaintiff that had a tractor accident in one state waited until after the statute of limitations had passed to go seek legal counsel. Most lawyers would have given up. Instead, this genius son of a bitch filed the lawsuit in a different state that had more permissive statute of limitations laws, then filed a motion to transfer the case back to the plaintiff's home state for the convenience of the parties involved. Motion granted. In law school you quickly find out that great legal loopholes are a Hollywood fiction, for the most part. But this is the stuff of legend, and really clever lawyering. There's more to this story but I'm drunk and sleepy. Source: am lawyer. A drunk lawyer on a Monday night. You're hired. The word drunk is redundant in that sentence. In Denver, the city places about 10 photo radar vans at various locations around the city. If you are speeding, the radar van snaps multiple pictures of the driver, the car, and the license plate. A few weeks later, a ticket arrives in the mail with the pictures and a $40 fine, $80 if in a work zone. However, there is a beautiful little clause at the bottom of the ticket that says, if you are not the person pictured in the violation notice, you may sign and mail in the not pictured driver affidavit located on the back of your notice of violation or penalty assessment notice. You must submit a legible, clear photocopy of your driver's license with the not pictured driver affidavit. The affidavit and supporting documentation will be reviewed by a Denver Police Department employee and a determination will be made regarding the identity of the actual driver. If further information is required, you may be contacted by the Photo Enforcement Unit. If it is determined that you are not the driver, the case against you will be dismissed. Source: my parents figured out this loophole years ago, and have had their cars registered to each other for many years for the sole reason of getting out of photo radar van speeding tickets.